Hi, Rob Mazak here. I am a psychic medium. I have an established business with lots of different metaphysical and spiritual services. Really cool stuff. A lot of fun. I've been doing it for quite a while, many, many years. But I didn't want to talk about that tonight. What I wanted to talk about was dreams. Many of us have had dreams that have simply been put on the shelf for a variety of reasons. We all still have dreams, but for some reason we tend to give up on those. We put them away. We think they're too hard. We listen to people, whatever. But dreams are important because dreams are put into us because, in my opinion, we have the capabilities to create those dreams, to bring those dreams to fruition. And dreams don't have to be anything fancy because dreams for me and dreams for you are way different, I imagine. Right. And so we all have dreams, especially when we're children. When we're children, it's really cool because we are learning basically by hypnosis. We are learning how to survive in the world, how to get by, what's the norms, what kind of things do we need to do to adapt to adjust to become, to make it through this world. We learn through experiences, through our cultures, through the way we were raised, experiences that have happened to us. We're like this wide open parachute, which is a really good thing and can be also be a really bad thing because sometimes bad experiences happen, as a young child or when we're younger, and it tends to stay wound up in our subconscious for a long time. We don't even realize why things are happening. However, let's talk about the good parts of it for right now because when we're a child, I remember, at least for me, and I'm sure most every childhood has periods of time where you just dream and dream and nothing is impossible. Absolutely nothing is impossible. Ask a child what they want to be when they grow up. What do they say? I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a ballerina. I want to be a pilot. I know children that want to be a dentist. And it's just a lot of different dreams. And the thing is, with a child, there is no limitations. There's no reason to think that they could not do that. And so they are a wide open book. And ideally, when you're raising children, if you have the opportunity, or you should take the opportunity to really groom a child when they say they have a dream and work them towards that dream, encourage them, and don't discourage them. Because we get into schools, we get around friends and family and all these things, and we tell our dreams to people, and they look at us and they tell us we're crazy. And what happens 99% of the time? Most of the time, we are going to believe them and we are going to settle for average. We're going to settle for doing what everybody else is doing, even though when you look at it, what everybody else is doing is not going to take you where you thought you'd want to go. Some of the most dangerous words in English language or phrases are, what would other people think and how would other people feel? To be honest, it really, really does not matter what other people think and how they feel about what you are doing. It really doesn't matter. We come here into this life for very specific reasons, in my opinion, in my experience. However, it is our race to run. It is our life to have. It is nobody else's. Whether you're in a relationship, long term, short term, in a family, you really have to figure out what it is that you want to accomplish in this life. And let's face it, this life is not super long. You may feel like it at times, especially when you're young. We feel like we're going to live forever, which I don't think anybody has done. Maybe they have. I don't know. But I don't know anybody. Do you? I don't know. We all hope we get to live forever and we exist past this. That's a different topic. However, we are here to run our own race and it's very short. 75 to 100 years basically, right, is what you get. And if you think about that time frame, it's really not that long, especially when you get to be my age, 64, right? I'll be 65 this year. And I look back at how fast it has gone, even though I've had a wonderful life, great experiences, wouldn't trade it. I've had some of the most awesome opportunities that anybody could ever be offered, and I loved them. It was a lot of fun. I've been in the military now for 30 years, still wearing the uniform. It is just, I actually love the life I've had. Has there been bad times and rough times and learning times? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. But I do know from firsthand experience that life will get in your way of what it is you think you want to do in life, whatever it is you want to become. And by the time you get to be my age, most people have kind of ditched it. They've given it up, they've put it away. And honestly, most people put it away in their early years, right? They get into school, they get into work, they listen to people, they take bad advice. If you want to be a millionaire, you certainly don't want to take advice from a thousandaire. I'm not saying it's lousy advice, but it's not going to get you where you want to go as a millionaire, right? Because they haven't been there, they haven't done that. And so you do want to listen to the people that have the right advice, that are going and doing and have done the same things that you might want to do. Not saying you need to be just like everybody else to be successful. What I'm saying is the people you should listen to are not the people that are trying to drag you back. And it gets even harder sometimes because if you become a very successful person, whatever that means for you, right? In order to change your life, you have to cut things out of your life. You have to stop listening to people. Maybe your friends are the ones that are holding you back. And if you're the kind of person that has to have friends and needs friends in your life, then that can be very difficult, right? Because on the path to success, for one thing, is where you learn everything, but on the path of success, the friends that you used to hang out with are no longer serving you, and you kind of have to drift away from them. I'm not saying you need to forget them. What I'm saying is that if they're not going where you want to go or supporting where you want to go, then they probably don't need your time. I'm just going to say it. They just don't need the time that you would give them. And if you, once again, if you need friends in your life and you like friends in your life, which is cool, I'm not saying it's not. Me personally, doesn't matter. But those that need friends then find themselves in this weird space because they no longer have the friends or the relationship with the friends that they were comfortable with, that they've been kicking it with for a long time. And they have not yet reached a point, perhaps, where they can associate with the kinds of friends that will be in their success ring or the circle of success. And so it's this weird space where a lot of people will fall back into the flock, and they'll fall back and they'll say, well, why am I doing this to my friends? You kind of get my point. You sit there in that middle space and you're like, I really need friends, and my friends, they've all kind of disowned me, or I've disowned them because they're not supporting me, and I don't have any new friends. And so it can be a very interesting dynamic, right? And most people have what Steve Harvey would say is this turn back moment, right? On your path to success, whatever that is for you, wherever you're going, whatever you're chasing, there's always that point where you feel like you want to give up. Do I keep going or do I turn back? And I'm not saying everything you start, you have to stay with, because sometimes you have these grand ideas and you get into them and you realize that they're really not serving you like you thought. And sometimes you do have to kind of reach back and start over and come up with a new plan or a new dream or a new idea. But you got to be careful that you don't get into the habit of continually quitting because it doesn't feel right. Well, sometimes it's not supposed to feel right. If what your dream is really exciting and it really is what you want out of life, to be able to be this thing or do this thing or be in these circles of influence or friends or whatever it is, then you're going to have to pay the price for some things. You're going to lose friends, you might lose family, you might lose money, you might sleep on the floor here and there. I mean, there's a lot of things you have to go through because in order to get grand success or big success, in life, you're going to have to put on the blinders and look forward and stop looking at the left and the right. Because on the left and the right are all the distractions, right? Many people that are super successful, if you listen to them talk, they don't go out drinking with their friends. They don't do a lot of things that people waste their time doing. They don't watch TV. They don't go to football games. They don't go to clubs. Nose to the grindstone. They are just going all after because they know someday that they're going to have plenty of money and time to do those things. But the thing is that many people will blame circumstances and they'll blame all kinds of things. And it's easy to blame others and circumstances in our life than to look at ourselves and go, we are the ones that are not doing it. We are the ones that are not putting the work in. Because the only time work or success comes before work is in the dictionary. I know it sounds kind of silly, but if you think about it, you have to put work in. But it can't just be work either, right? Because if hard work was the only part of success, then there's a lot of people out there that should be doggone wealthy, right? People work and work and work and work really, really hard and they do great things, yet they're not wealthy. So it's many parts to that equation. There's many parts to that equation. You got to have the desire, you got to have the goal, you got to have the work ethic, you got to have the belief. I mean, there's so many aspects to it. But the big thing, probably the biggest thing, people, the biggest thing is when I ask my clients, especially new clients that come to see me, and I always talk about dreams. Where are you going in life? Where do you see yourself going? What is the big idea, the big goal, the big dream? What is it? If I could give you a credit card from God and you know you could not fail, what would you do? 95% of people have no idea. That's the biggest problem today is people do not know what they want. So what happens? You're left to chance. Why not work towards something? Doesn't have to be super big to start with. Work towards something, strive for something, put the blinders on, put away the silly things. If you're watching a football game, for goodness sake, you're watching other people make millions of dollars and you're not, and you're just watching them do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't relax, you shouldn't rest, you shouldn't watch football. I'm not saying that. I'm saying you got to be smart about your time because you get 24 hours in a day, right? 24 hours in a day. It sounds like a lot, except for the fact that most of us work at least 8 hours a day, sleep around 8 hours a day, right? That's 16. So really, there's only 8 hours of extra time to do anything. But within that 8 hours, you have to eat, you have to travel, you have to shower, you have to do all these things. And most people spend that 8 hours, you know, going to the club with their friends, watching, football game for 4 hours, binge watching Netflix. You're broke, but you're rewarding yourself. All right, I'm not bashing everybody. I'm just trying to point out some things that I think are important. A lot of people don't realize that they are sabotaging themselves, that they are not contributing to their own success. They get upset with other people because they're not holding standards. You go to a restaurant and you're upset because the waiter's not doing you right, it's not bringing out the right food, they're not timely. Yet when you slack and you distract and you do things that are not right or correct or proper for what you need out of life or what you want out of life, you don't do that. You don't bash yourself. You don't get upset with yourself. You let yourself off the hook, right? So we have to look at ourselves. And I'm talking about myself too, because we're all human. We all have those moments of weakness where we spend time doing things that really we shouldn't be doing if we're chasing a dream. Now, is having a dream or a goal the ultimate endpoint? Maybe. Depends on what it is, right? But in my opinion, and most of those people that are successful, their opinions, they will tell you that it's not so much where you end up or where you're trying to end up or what you're trying to achieve. It is the process. of getting there or striving for that where the growth happens, right? If you're trying to get to the top of a mountain, you're going to get super strong on your way up. But if you get to the top of the mountain and you've succeeded, so to speak, and you sit on the top of the mountain and you just bask in your glory, you're going to get fat and lazy and out of shape again, right? So, in my opinion, chasing dreams and chasing goals is great. I'm not the best goal setter in the world, I can tell you that. I have big dreams, I have big ideas, sure. And I am working towards those. Am I doing as much as I could? Probably not. But the thing is, though, in this world today, as lazy as people are, by and large, and as much as people slack off and reward themselves for not doing well, it's not that difficult to be super successful in this world today. When I grew up, when I was a young kid, it was way different. You didn't have the internet and all this technology and all these things that we have now. There's really no excuse for not getting out there. In my case, for talking to you guys, to putting material out. There's no reason and no excuse why I can't sit behind a computer for 30 minutes at a time and talk to you guys about things. Part of my dream is to get out there and share my experience and the things that I have gained through my business and my experiences through doing metaphysical services and talking to people, all the things I've learned. And that's what I've been charged with by my spirit guides. And so this is what I'm doing. Of course I can do more, and I do need to do that. But I'm also challenging everybody else to do the same. But at a minimum, you need to know where you're going. You don't get in your car and just hop in your car and start driving. You generally have an idea where you're going to go. And along the way, even if there's traffic or there's an accident or there's a detour, you're still going to get there because you know where you want to go. And it might take you a little longer, it might be shorter, it might be a lot of problems in between, but you can get there, right? You need to be the GPS for your dream. You need to actually put that out in front of you. Wake up every day, and don't wake up every day like an accident. Wake up every day on purpose and decide what it is you're going to do. What is it you're going to do that's going to feed your dream and push you in the right direction and actually get you something out of life? Now, is success always money? Absolutely not. Now, is success to most people lots of money? Of course it is. And money is important because with a lot of money, if you think about it, you can help more people. Because if you're poor, you can't help anybody else. You can't even help yourself, right? Being poor sucks. Let's just face it. And poor can mean a lot of things. You could have too many bills. You've had too much credit, card debt. You could have too much debt altogether. And no matter what you make, you're still living paycheck to paycheck. So what I'm saying is that living life on purpose is more important because the chances of us being human beings on this earth, in this place, at this time, is 400 trillion to 1. That's with a T, trillion to 1. 400 trillion to 1. In science, we'll tell you that. Scientists have done the research. And so if you are here for a reason, in my opinion. And if all we're doing is eating, working, sleeping, consuming, and dying, I don't know that I would take a 400 trillion to 1 chance and just waste it. Come on, guys. We're better than that. Human beings can overcome so many things, but you have to give yourself something to overcome, right? All right, I'll digress. I'll get off my soapbox. I encourage you guys to go to my website too and take a look around. There's a lot of interesting things that I do. On there's services page, products page. My wife makes glorious leather stuff. There's a blog. There's some of these podcasts are on there. There's links to all my podcasts and different things. And I love to work with people because working with people is really, really awesome because in the process of helping others learn to start their life, to get out of their own way, they do all the work. It's not me. My job is to hit the start button. That's what I get to do. But in the process of working with people, I learn too. I've learned so many things from my students through mentorship and through teaching Reiki and doing sessions and all kinds of things. It's just really awesome. And I once again, I encourage you guys to reach out. I love to work with people. Look forward to working with you. Look forward to hearing from you. Stay strong and live your life.